every person has a mother tongue. Of all languages, she can only learn her mother tongue well without mental fatigue because she acquires this language before she is intelligent. She acquires it in early infancy by mimicry. It's a gift of nature. So, for the people who are not familiar with the Montessori education, just for you to know that Dr. Montessori, before she was an educator, she was a doctor and a scientist, and all her method is based on observation and scientific method to help children develop to their full potential. So here she talks about the importance of the language, especially the mother tongue or the native language, that all babies acquire that language without a teacher per se and without fatigue. It's mimicry by listening constantly. So here I would like to share when I came to the United States, I fell in love and we had a family. My husband is from Boston. We live now in Washington, D.C. And here in the picture is our second daughter, Maribel. Uh, in this picture, she is 2 years old and she is washing dishes. This is the real practical life at home with real glass and plates and cups. And just for you to know, I am there with her. And also my first daughter, Gisela. Gisela at that time was 5 years old and we help her. So while she's washing, Gisela and I are drying the plates and cups and putting them away. So we are always with her just in case something breaks or something's fall. And this is how we do this practical life that is well known in Montessori, either at home or at a school. So what happened with bilingual families? Each parent should speak their native language at home and also engage in fun activities, organize play dates. Hopefully you can find friends or other people that speak your language, and find also caregivers that can support these bilingual or multilingual language with your children. Remember, the more, the better. Children absorb and they need a lot of repetition in a second or a third language. So this is Maribel. Now she is 5 years old. So what can we do, families, if you want to raise multilingual children at home? So play music from the country that you want your children to acquire that language. Dance with them, sing with them, read aloud. It's very important to read every day to your kids. Storytelling, also very important. Children are curious and they want to know about stories when you were a child, stories of their grandparents. It is fun for them and it's a bonding time also. Cook together, play together, games, cards, puzzles, and most importantly, be a role model. So if you are a monolingual family that would like your children to acquire a second or your third language, it is important for you to model. So you as an adult, you are going to make the effort to learn that language. How? By listening to music, by starting reading a little bit in the other language, and just show and model respect for other cultures and languages. So always reinforce the target language. When I thought about the target language, is the minority language. So my family, we live in the United States. So the primary language is English and our target language is Spanish. Children will learn the predominant language from the environment and later at a school. So that's why we need to reinforce the target language at home and at a school as much as possible. And then share your superpower. This is a superpower. So embrace your native language. Here are my parents. So we were very lucky that the girls could visit Ecuador every summer and be immersed in that culture and obviously share the love of their grandparents. Why is it important to embrace your native language? Because fostering better connection with grandparents and family, ability to communicate in different languages and in different situations. This is very important. A child is going to speak different if they are with their friends or their peers at school, is going to speak different with an adult, or is going to speak different with family members. So the adjust of that language also helps them to always be like a muscle in their brain, trying to tune to which language they are listening, process that language, and then get feedback in that language. So multilingual children will be a lifelong learners. They will be always curious and wanted to learn more. So foster the love of learning. Any time is a good time to practice your native language with your kids. So here in this photo, this is my brother and with my nephew and, uh, and niece. And so this is Giselle and Maribel enjoying a great time. So share stories when you were a kid. Talk about the life of their grandparents. So here I'm going to share a little bit the importance of reading time. So on the left is Gisela, our first daughter. She is 1 year old in that photo. And we have books all over our house, in the living room, in the dining room, in the kitchen, in the bedrooms. So when she was 1, she enjoys a book. She's starting eating the book. But then in the middle picture is Gisela, the first daughter. She is 3 years old in that picture. And that little baby is Maribel when she was 4 months. And there are a lot of things happening in that photo. Gisela is reading a book to Maribel, and Maribel is listening to her. And Gisela is actually not reading. She's only 3 years old, but she's mimicking how to read, because if I don't forget, that book was in English and she is reading in Spanish. So she is just um, showing the pictures and pretending to tell a story to her sister. And she's also mimicking how do we read the books with her little fingers. And that's very important when we are reading and embrace a second and a third language, to do it that way, because that way children practice the sound and the words as we read. So she already started the Montessori program at 3 years at the school that I worked. It was a dual program in Spanish. And so she is mimicking maybe one of the guides that was reading to them. And then on the right is my husband, always reading to our girls. I'm really thankful for him, because even when now they are teenagers and grown up, but still he finds time and to read aloud some of the novels. So it's very, very important, and obviously is a fantastic way to practice a second language at home, and also a very good bonding time. So what happens? What is the goal of bilingual education in Montessori? To create a self-directed learning environment in which children build the foundation of knowledge essential for a lifetime of learning, with the goal of learning in 2 or more languages. So what are the tenets of Montessori education? That all children want to learn, that all children have absorbent minds. If you're not familiar with this term, I recommend to you to read the book that is, the title is The Absorbent Mind by Dr. Montessori. It will help you understand the methodology, and most important, that Montessori is a way of life. It's not only materials, but it's really how you connect with yourself and others in a respectful environment. So Dr. Montessori, she knew that children go through sensitive periods, especially language, is from birth to 6. So this is the perfect time to acquire 2 or more languages. that all children learn through play and work. They want to be independent and they want to be part of a diverse community. So, what are the benefits of bilingual education? Stimulates and contributes to the development of the child's intelligence and resilience, fosters independence and respectful social interactions, develops critical thinking and adaptability, increases positive decision making, solve problems, and the ability to express oneself creatively. So, for parents and educators, raising an environment multilingual, it is more than allowing the kids just to be smarter. It's really transforming their brain to, again, like being in a muscle, always tuning to which language, always processing that language and then giving feedback. So these children and in general people tend to be more resilient. They will work and find ways and have positive ways to solve problems. And in general, they tend to be more creative, more respectful, and empathy, which is very important. So they also develops multicultural skills and the power to connect with people. Yes, because you can talk to more people if you speak more languages. Increases cultural empathy, so important in today's world. Reaches higher levels of concentration. This is extremely important because, as you know, with technology and media, children now have a really difficult time to concentrate. And that helps our multilingual children can concentrate for longer periods than monolingual children. Why? Because again, they always have to concentrate to identify which language he or she is working on and how she or he needs to give feedback. So the levels of concentration are much higher. Also increases self-esteem and obviously better job opportunities in life. So, what are the activities that we can do in bilingual classrooms? Oral conversations, discussions, music and singing, reading aloud, storytelling. Storytelling is very important, it's part of our curriculum in Montessori education. There is always a story to tell about a lesson or a material. Grace and courtesy. If you're not familiar with this term, is beyond just to greet people. Is how you can learn to respect yourself and how you respect others in either at home or in a community at a school. Dramatization. Children love dramatization. Games. Games inside the classroom and outside the classroom is very, very important. And of course, language acquisition. So, what are successful bilingual strategies that I applied in this immersion program in my school in Washington, D.C.? So, students will learn to write and read in one language first. It doesn't matter which language, but the children need to learn in one language first. In our school, we decided that all children will learn first Spanish. Why did we decided to start with the Spanish? Because Spanish is very phonetic language. So if you know the sounds of the vowels and the consonants, you are ready to go to read and write. Meaning in Montessori, we read and write with the movable alphabet and with the sandpaper letters. Once they learn and master the language in Spanish, children now are ready to be immersed in the English language acquisition. So another strategy is to have passionate native speakers guides. So ideally, we will need people that speak the language from those countries. And they have to really love what they are doing and it is shown that by research that multilingual teachers tend to be more happier than monolingual teachers, because I think it's a gift and a blessing to be able to teach in your native language. And then learn the importance of cognates. So what are cognates? Cognates are very important when we are teaching a second and a third language. So cognates are words that sound very similar, and the meaning is also very similar in different languages. For example, if I say triángulo, even if you don't speak Spanish, if you are an English speaker, you can transfer that and say, oh, that's triangle. If you are a French speaker, you can say, oh, it's a triangle. So those are the cognates, and those are very important because they help transition that knowledge to the other languages. So another strategy is the knowledge learned through one language helps acquire knowledge in the other language. So ideally, in a dual language program or a bilingual program in Montessori, we do not translate. So we give lessons, 5-8 minute lessons, 100% in one language. So, for example, if we're presenting the Pink Tower in Spanish, one of the presentations could be how to count the numbers from 1 to 10. And another lesson could be how to teach adjectives, the biggest, the smallest, etc., etc. So we don't translate. So we give lessons 100% in one language, and then the children can work independently, and they can practice the language of their preference, or also depends on the school. We encourage children to practice the language with the lesson that they received. Bilingual children have a better understanding of the syntax of languages. So syntax is the order of the words in languages. So with our beautiful Montessori materials, children discover, so we don't tell them, but they discover that, for example, the family noun is different in English and Spanish. But those are their own discoveries by learning and practicing with the materials.